Hey everybody, Jeremy here, taking a look at Age of Wushu again. This video, I want to keep short and do an overview of what's to come in later videos. I want to go over briefly a list of why this is the greatest MMORPG you'll never play. And I know that's a little haughty, and so, I mean, that is kind of a hook. I'm trying to hook you, so. And it is a little bit egotistical in that. But it really is it really might be the greatest MMORPG you'll never play. So it's not terribly false, and actually it's more true than false, because I honestly do believe it's probably the greatest. So the list, you can be a constable and arrest people and issue arrests for people, and that's other players. The economy is totally player driven. It's very deep and stands to be as deep and complex as EVE Online. You can kidnap players. Players do not leave the world when they log off, and I covered that already. Yes, that's true. If there's 10,000 players that create characters on this server, and they all decide to log off, their character stays in the game and starts walking around and being an NPC, and other players that are logged in can kidnap them, and I think there's some other stuff. You can do numerous PvP events. There is open world free-for-all PvP, nowhere is safe. There's all kinds of PvP events, and they're not separated, which is awesome. Get your head out of the sand, or into the sand, if this is a sandbox. Separated PvP is no good. No. I mean, there is separated PvP, but there is school wars, guild wars, I think there's even larger wars. There's escorting PvP quests in the open world. There's all kinds of PvP. It's sick with PvP. The combat system is based on categories, on a rock paper scissors type of hybrid combat, player skill based combat. I call it MMO meets, I call it sort of Guild Wars 2 meets, you know, something else sprinkled with totally uniqueness. This game has its uniqueness. See my player bar. I have blue, red, green circles around some of my attacks. Those stand for feint, parry, and I think counter or attack. Knowing what skill to use when is super helpful, and you have to actually physically use. You physically have to move out of the way. You have to physically block with the right mouse button, face the right way. So your positioning does matter. Look how far out I am. That's crazy. But so if I ran across some people fighting, if I got in the way, I could be the innocent bystander that gets hurt or killed. So it definitely has a player skill based element. You have to physically, you know, use your skill in it, and it has this very interesting rock paper scissors game of combat where you have to learn and parry with the correct counter move and the correct category. Now, skills. There are no player levels. Skills are skill books like EVE Online, and you learn them in a time-based fashion like EVE Online. So you can collect thousands of skills, and you learn them, and they all have different levels. They don't have the same level cap like EVE Online does. Some level out at 3, some at 36, and all different. You learn all these skills. You gain them all different ways through the economy, and the whole underlying premise of this game is they want you to feel like you're inside of a kung fu movie, and they do a smashing job of it. They do a bang-up job. They really do. From everything from the moves to the attacks to running up walls, fighting in midair while you're flying around. So they really do a terrific job, and the economy feeds into that. And the economy is very much like an EVE Online economy, and it is awesome. You can go and think, oh, okay, I'm going to buy a book, and then you find out some of the books have pages, and you need to collect all the pages, right? Well, then you're like, okay, and then that means I have to go to a scholar, another player who created, you know, who's taken a scholar life skill. And it's like, okay. And then he can put it together for it. But there's even more. It gets even deeper. It constantly gets deeper and deeper. And it really is truly like you're a kung fu person in a movie on this quest, tracking down the bad guys, and while bad guys get in your way, you gotta beat them up and fight in this kung fu fashion, all while trying to help the woman and learn and track down the ultimate kung fu spell. And then you have gossip quests. Gossip quests are unmarked quests that you can find all over the place, anywhere, because all together, including gossip quests, world quests, and story quests, there's just thousands of quests in this game. You don't have to do anything linearly. There is story quests, which help you get accustomed to the game. You can do that and go through the basics, basically. basically. So, there's a storyline, and just like, sort of like Guild Wars 2, you pick a storyline before you begin the game and pick what kind of character personality you want. I picked the amnesia guy who gets washed up on the beach and has some friend he can't remember die next to him, and I had to bury them, and then these guys tried to kill me, and there's an escort quest happening right now. If other players wanted to, they could simply start fighting, just like that. So, anyways, back on track. So, this white-bearded, white-haired guy flew out of the sky and saved me, just like in a Wushu kung fu movie. And I started my quest, and there's cutscenes along the road of doing every so many quests. You'll get a cutscene, like a movie, and it's kind of neat. The localization and translation is pretty bad right now, so I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But that's a lot of the game. That's enough to get you started. I've gone too far. I wanted to keep it to like 5 minutes. I probably am at like 20 now. So, I'm going to do individual videos covering all this stuff. It's just insane, and there's more to do it too. But to cover all this of why Age of Wushu is the greatest MMORPG you'll never play. So, I'll see you in the other videos.